By now, you've received your headset report, which highlights all of the areas that headset assesses. It's at this point that headset will now create a customized program for you to work on all the areas of mental skill sets that we need to have as an athlete to perform at our best. With this program, we will first start off with areas that you are already presently strong in. Now, this might sound a little bit different. Most people, most athletes might think, well, why don't I start with an area that I'm already maybe not as proficient in? Well, the truth is, many athletes are unaware of what they truly are good in. They're unaware of the skill sets that they already possess that are very strong, or at least strong to those who are around them day in and day out, competing with them, or even coaching them. It's really important for an athlete to know what he or she does well, what their strengths are. By understanding your strengths, you will be able to call upon them in a blink of an eye when the pressure is at its greatest moment without even realizing. And when you do call on those strengths, that is when you'll be able to leverage the talents that you have within without even realizing it in a blink of an eye. Now take the time to download the strengths worksheet below. This worksheet will help you complete this wow, and it's a good tool to keep beside you whenever you feel the need to review some of the wows that you've completed. The strengths wow is something that is completely reviewable throughout your entire season, and it's a very, very valuable tool to have. Now, as you're completing this wow, you can choose to read or simply click the audio button attached to your wow so you can listen to the wow being read to you. As you complete each step, take the time to toggle over the switch and allow yourself to move on to the next step, but also indicating to the headset system that you've completed each step one by one. It's important to click over your toggle switch once you've completed each step so that the system knows that you're ready to progress to the next step. You can begin your wow now. Step 1. On a blank piece of paper or on a computer screen, tablet, or even your phone, take the time to write down all of the present strengths that you feel you have as an athlete today. All of your strengths. Don't sit back and edit them. List them all. List all the tools that you think you possess as an athlete that are truly valuable, that help you perform at your optimal best day in, day out, or when the pressure is really on. Take the time to really think about these assets that you have as an athlete and don't edit them. Don't hold back. List them all. Once you've completed this list, take the time to review it. Maybe there's a couple more that you want to add after you've had the time to think about it. But when you've completed that list, make sure to toggle over your switch that allows the system to know that you've completed step 1. You're now ready to move on to step 2. Step 2. You've completed your list of strengths that you feel you personally possess today. Now, we're going to kick it up a notch. Now, you are going to ask 3 people who know you well as an athlete today. They could be teammates, coaches, trainers, whoever you feel truly knows you and your skill set as an athlete today. We're going to ask these people to share with you what they believe are your strengths. By comparing what we think we have and what other people are able to share with us is going to give us a real in-depth report as to how we truly perform and the strengths we truly have. Once you've completed this list, toggle over the switch to the side and move it to green. Now you're ready to move to step 3. Step 3, ask your raters to give you feedback as accurate as they possibly can. Document this feedback and look at it, read it, review it. But take that feedback and now let's compare it to the list that you created for yourself. Look at the trends, look at the highlights, maybe even look at some of the things that they didn't bring up. But if at all, in the feedback that they are giving you, you're wondering, what did they mean by that? What exactly were they referring to? Don't be afraid to get clarity from that rater. Sit down with that rater and ask them, what exactly did you mean by this? What exactly did you see in me in that game that made you feel that this was a strength? Get as much information from your rater as possible. There should be no wondering what they were thinking or what they were referring to. You want hard, accurate truth, hard, accurate data that's going to allow you to compare with what you thought you have as a strength and what you do have in actuality as a strength based on some of the information that they give you. Once you've had the chance to compare these two lists by compiling this data from your raters, take the time to toggle over the switch beside this step because now you're ready to move on to step 4. Step 4. Take the time now to review the list that you've compiled as well as the rater's data that's been presented to you and look at all of the different points that were provided to you by your raters that you didn't highlight, that were not something that you had considered as a strength. Look at these, review these, and ask yourself, are these truly a strength? And if they are, how? How might you work these into your game, your practice, your training? Ask yourself, if these truly are a strength, are they things that I see myself, can feel myself doing day in, day out during competitions or training or practice, whichever it may be. But take the time to really look at the things that maybe stick out as things you didn't realize, things that you weren't aware of. Because some of these assets that could be presented to you by the raters could be deep underlying strengths that you were unaware of. And those strengths could be ones that, again, you could leverage when needed most. Take the time to review that which you didn't know, because within it might be things that you wish you did know. This is a key element to evolving as an athlete, always developing by providing ourselves with the opportunity to receive feedback. Once you've taken the time to review all of these elements that you weren't aware of, toggle your switch beside this wow and complete it to green so that we can now move on to our final step, step 5. Step 5. You've accumulated a list of strengths that you believe you possess. You've had raters come in and share with you their insights, and you've looked at those similarities. You've also taken the time to look at some of the things that might not have been familiar to you. And now they may have unveiled some hidden talents that you didn't even realize were talents within you. It's important now to look at these lists, the list that you've solidified, as strengths that you've put forward, people have provided you with feedback on, and also highlighted things that you weren't aware of, and go over them again and again and again. Go over them before a game, go over them before a practice, before a training session. Go over them before you go to bed, or maybe even when you wake up. But make these strengths be something that can easily be retained and easily obtained when needed. Think of it almost as a quick switch that would allow you to assess the situation presented to you in a game and immediately provide a response because you know the strength, you know the skill, you know the talent that you possess that will help you overcome that moment. Think of this as an instant access to the answer. Think of this as instant access to what is placed in front of you as a question. How are you going to read this defense? How are you going to read that offense? How are you going to read this person who's in front of you right now that you're up against? instantaneously by referring to the strengths that you have, that people know you have. And maybe some of those strengths that you didn't even know were inside of you are what's going to help you overcome that moment and make you the champion of that moment. But it's only by taking the time to review these lists again and again and again will you be able to pull them out in a blink of an eye and leverage them to their fullest capacity. Know what these strengths are, not just in sight, but in sound. Know what these strengths are in terms of what they feel. Be able to be totally encapsulated in the moment of competition and seeing yourself use your strengths again and again, each time victorious, each time the champion of the moment. Be able to be in it, feel it, smell it, hear it, and borderline being able to taste that moment so that when the moment happens in real life, you'll have no more than a split second of need to pull out the correct response and use the strengths that you have within without even thinking about it. Steps in applying this wow. First, take the time to review the opportunities that you may have to once again review the strengths that you have, the strengths that have been outlined to you. Second, take the opportunity to practice these strengths. Take the opportunity to use these strengths in practices, training sessions, scrimmages. Make these strengths be something that you just do. Make these strengths be something that are just common in your responses, that are familiar in your responses, so that these responses are something that is just a simple, instant, reactionary response. It's not something that you're going to have to dwell upon. It's not something that you're going to have to think about and hope to remember. These strengths are going to become elements of your game that you simply respond by. We don't even need to look for them, search for them, or wonder if they'll be there. It's just what you do. Again, making you the champion of the moment. Third, take the time to realize some new strengths that may be emerging as your current strengths flow from within you out to whatever you're doing. Take the time to be aware. Take the time to notice some of these new strengths that might be emerging from all of the practice that you've done. Before you know it, things that you didn't even realize were strengths are now valuable assets that you call upon daily. Allow these things to come to the front of your mind so that you can instantly attain them when needed. Grow your strengths. Don't just rely on the few that you may have. Grow them. Grow as many as you can. Think of your strengths as tools in your toolbox. The more tools you have, the more ready you'll be for any moment that comes in front of you. The more tools you have, the readily available, you will be able to answer any situation of difficulty, of challenge that may be thrown at you in a blink of an eye, so that you will be able to leverage your fullest capacity as the champion you are within. Take the time now to toggle over your green switch beside this wow as you've completed Wow 1, finding the strengths within. This is Jason Galea with Headset, and I look forward to seeing you soon.